Welcome to my art tutorial. So first step is, of course, you gotta get a reference. Well, you don't have to, but it really helps to know what you're going to draw. So this one I chose because it's pretty simple for this art tutorial, front facing, not too much detail. Put it on my iPad so I could see. So as most tutorials go, you have to draw your circle first and then split it vertically and horizontally to show where the face is facing. This one's only front facing, so it's not too hard, just a simple T. Then you go ahead and draw your neck. Don't make it too skinny unless that's just like your cartoony art style. I make mine a little bit thicker because I like to draw semi-realism. Then you're going to kind of shave off a little bit of the sides and bring it down to the bottom of your vertical line. Then just do the same thing to the other side and erase your guidelines. Next, draw the trapezius. For this, the more muscular your character is, the more round and kind of upwards it's going to be. But since this character is kind of skinny, we're going to just kind of make him a little bit flat. Then we make a small guideline for where the torso starts and draw our collarbones. The torso should start right underneath the collarbone. Then we're going to draw a sort of smooth, curved out, trapezoid-like shape for where the torso is. Depending on how tall your character, it's going to of course be shorter or taller. And then you're going to want to split it up just like we did with the head into vertical and horizontal directions. Then we'll draw a little circle for where the waist is and then connect it to a sort of Superman-shaped triangle for the hips and crotch. Then we'll make 2 circles for where the shoulders are. And now I know a lot of people say to draw the chest is kind of like teardrops connecting up to that area over there above the collarbone, but that's not true because they actually connect to the arms. That's why when you move the arm upwards, the chest also flows upwards along with it. So we're just gonna kind of make 2 small circle-like shapes. It doesn't have to be really perfect, and of course they're all different sizes and shapes, so I'm making mine kind of small. It's gonna kind of be hidden under the shirt that I'm gonna draw later anyway, so I'm not paying too much attention to it. Connect it up to the arms like that, and voila. And it's okay if they're not the same size because most chests aren't. So I ended up kind of cutting down the trapezoid a little bit because I realized I made it a bit too tall, and I moved up the circle for where the waist is, but I didn't move the hips. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from the end of the trapezoid and connect it down to the hips. You can make this as smooth of a transition like for a rectangle body shape, or a harsher transition for maybe a pear or hourglass shape. Whatever is okay. Also remember that there are bones in the hips, which will create a little bit of hip dip for most characters, especially skinnier characters. Now for the thighs, I usually don't put too much thought into this. For this character, since she's skinny, I am going to have her have a little bit of a thigh gap, but not all characters have this. And then up towards the top is where the thickest part of the thigh is. I kind of drew that little line in the middle to show where it starts getting kind of skinnier. Then we'll draw 2 little circles for about where the knees are going to be. This one I usually actually mess up and I have to go back and redo, but that's okay. Make it exist first and then make it better after. That's my motto of drawing. And similar to the thighs, the calves are biggest at the top and then get smaller as you go down. Don't be afraid to make them really flowy and organic because we are human, not robots. We have very organic shapes to us. Not everything can be broken down into rectangles and trapezoids, so just have fun with it, really. For the hands, I draw them really simply at first by making this trapezoid shape for where the palm is, and then I make the direction for these 2 fingers here because it's a peace sign, and then I simplify the fingers into rectangular shapes. It's a little bit hard for me to draw with my cat in the way though. Next, put a circle for where the elbow is in between halfway point between the hand and the shoulders and connect them with a line. It's okay if you have to readjust them later, but the distance should always be about the distance from the shoulder to the waist for both parts. Then we go ahead and round out, and same for the forearms as for the thighs and the calves, it's kind of thicker at the top. So this arm pose is one of the harder ones to draw, but since I draw it so often, it's not as hard for me. For the forearms, the part where the bottom of it is kind of around the upper arm, the fat is going to squish a bit because the two body parts are squishing together. And then for the elbow, it's gonna be sort of a squarish shape. And then for the upper arm, it's going to go downwards on the top and the bottom because that's the way gravity is pulling against the fat in the skin when you connect the armpit to the chest. For the hands, all you're really doing is pretty much rounding out and defining the shapes. The thumb for this particular pose isn't the hardest. Just make sort of a triangle on the side of the hand and push another finger upwards, I guess. And then the ring finger will have a sort of triangle to the knuckle. So again, all I'm really doing here is rounding out the shapes. I'm also going to add some wrinkle next to the palm because our skin is organic. We're not dolls, it's not made of plastic, so we have a bit of wrinkle there. For me, the faces are the hardest part. Sometimes I like to start with a little oval in the middle as a guideline for my nose, but I usually end up redrawing this about 1,000 times. Then we make a little smile, mostly only drawing the ends of the mouth. I did a little smirky smile and then a little line underneath for the lip. For the eyes, you're going to want to use your guideline for the top line as the very top of your eyes. The eyes are going to change based on expression, but I'm just going to do a neutral smiling expression here. Do the eyes at the same time so that it's the most like each other. It's gonna do a lot of like redrawing and erasing, but that's okay. Just do them at the same time so it's as similar as it's pretty much gonna get. Then I like to make some small lines under the eyes and add tiny little lashes to them, and then I'm going to do little triangles for the eyelashes. The middle ones are going to be sort of straight up, and then the side ones are going to go more and more outish. As I said I'd do before, I did end up drawing the nose about a bajillion different times, but usually what I do is a small line for the tip of the nose and curved lines for the side, but I'm doing a bit of a simpler nose, so I'm not going to do those curved side lines. And I'm just doing some basic curved eyebrows that are thicker in the middle. And we're going to draw a straight line for where the forehead ends. Some characters don't have straight lines though, they have widow's peak. Like me in real life, I do have a widow's peak, so in that case it would be a V shape. But for this one, we're just going to do a simple line. Then you decide how you want your part to be and draw a guideline for that. It's going to go a little bit above the actual head because hair does hold some volume. For this one, I'm just doing straight hair, but for all hairs, I usually draw the silhouette first and then add detail as I go. For this one, I'm adding bangs, so all I do is I add a circle for where the bangs start and again do the silhouette for where the bangs lie. From there, erase your guidelines and begin adding the detail, adding triangular shapes and lots of curved lines to show flow of the hair. For the flow of the hair, you're going to want to follow the middle part towards the middle or whatever part you ended up doing. And then for the bangs, make them a little bit distinct and separate so they don't merge with the rest of the hair too much. And add thicker and more lines towards where the shadows would be. It's a little hard to see here since it's really hard to record while I'm drawing, but I ended up doing some simple zigzaggy lines to show where the highlights would be, like if it was digital, but it does a pretty good job of conveying even on traditional. I'm gonna start the close with the left sleeve and draw a straight line down and connect it to where the other side would be. It's kind of a loose shirt, so there is some space there. Since it's kind of going up with the arm, there's going to be a bit more folds. Don't be afraid to be really loosey-goosey with the folds because they don't have to be perfect. Just have fun with it, really, and then it'll end up looking great, trust me. For the neckline, I'm going to make this curved V and then make some small lines for where the stitching would be. The neckline is resting against the skin because of gravity, but don't make it merge with the skin, so you're still going to want to sort of redraw the area there to bevel it slightly out from the trapezes. But I added that part a little bit later. Next, we're going to erase some of the body details so that we can add the clothes. Then we're going to pretty much repeat the same process as we did before for the other sleeve. I'm going to make the bottom of the shirt lifted up on one side, on the right side, which means the right side will have more folds than the left side because it's being pushed upwards. For tight shirts, there's going to be lots of horizontal lines, and for looser shirts, there's going to be less vertical lines. So for this shirt, since the arm is being raised on the left side and the shirt is being pushed up on the right side, my lines are going to follow that flow of the curve, as well as have a little bit of horizontal lines towards the bottom. This part's optional, but I like to just do a little bit of shading towards the chest area. Next, for the shorts, since it's front facing, we don't have to do too much of a curve, so just make 2 very gently curved lines and bevel it outwards so it's not merged with the skin. I'm also going to add a belt to copy the original picture a bit. Basically, just add a large curved line, and then to bevel it outwards, instead of making it kind of fit the form of the skin, it's going to be a little bit angled. Then I just make lines in it to add the details. Then I erase some of the lines on the lighter parts and make the lines thicker on the darker parts. Next, for the shorts, it's pretty much the same as the shirt, except the shorts are a bit tighter, so instead of vertical lines, there will be horizontal lines. Then add the shorts details like the fly, the pockets, and I also like to add some stitching details. For the socks, same thing again, since it's all clothing, just follow the curve of the knee. And just add the final details like the knee, and I also like to add some blush like I did on the face to the joints. Next, I'm gonna add just some simple jewelry. And for the bracelets here, the gravity is going to be pulling them downwards. For spiky bracelets, I usually just add circles in the middle and then triangles on the sides. It's pretty simple. Finally, I just added some finalizing details, like more folds in the socks and making the line art for the outsides of the hair bigger. Then you're all done. Thanks for watching my tutorial. Happy drawing!